Hello everyone, my name is Brianna Maxwell. I am a BCD honors graduate from May 2020, and my thesis was on homelessness, vulnerability, and climate change in HRM. So today I'm going to talk to you briefly about the literature, research questions, and methods that went into my thesis, as well as the results, recommendations, and what I'm currently doing with this. So in the literature, climate change and homelessness are often tangentially related together, but when you look at the existing vulnerabilities of the homeless compared to the effects of climate change, it's clear that the homeless are particularly vulnerable to these effects, but that there isn't a lot being done around this issue. So I recognized that and wanted to dive more into it by looking at HRM's policies and programs, as well as what nonprofit organizations are doing around this issue. And then on top of that, what are the barriers and opportunities for both organizations to address these vulnerabilities. So I did a document analysis and I conducted interviews with HRM and nonprofit organizations through thematic analysis. And what I found was that HRM has a stronger focus on climate change, hazard, risk, vulnerability, and more of the economic side of things than nonprofit organizations, which focus more on housing, homelessness, extreme weather preparation, and more of the systematic and vulnerability focus. And this really came out in the interviews where both sides were talking about housing, vulnerability, opportunities for action and collaboration, but nonprofits were focused more on poverty, extreme weather, and they didn't really have a clear direction, whereas HRM was focused more on emergency, climate change, and they didn't know how to provide aid in this area. So what I found was that HRM's policies and programs don't directly address that, or at least they didn't as of April 2020, but that nonprofit organizations are actually responding to this issue through extreme weather preparedness. So the lack of knowledge and resources was a barrier to addressing the issue, but existing policies and programs such as HRM's emergency management programs did present opportunities. So with that in mind, I had 3 recommendations. One was to recognize that the homeless are particularly vulnerable to climate change now. This was partially recognized through Halifax 2050, but there hasn't been a lot of uptake from nonprofit organizations yet. The second was to actually explore how this issue affects the homeless in their everyday lives, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And the final one was to establish policies and programs for long-term mitigation and adaptation to climate change and homelessness. So really addressing the root cause of this issue, and there hasn't been a lot of uptake on that yet either. So what I did want to mention, though, was that I am continuing with my thesis through the NEDGE Global Impact Challenge, which is a sustainability leadership program, and what I'm doing with that is trying to create short-term interventions to address the climate vulnerabilities of the homeless, so through warming programs, cooling programs, and really just start trying to spark action and conversation in the community. So if you're interested, I'm going to be presenting at the Housing Symposium on November 23rd. It's a free event. It's going to be great, and I would really like to see you all there. So if you have any questions for me, or if you'd like a copy of my thesis, or you just want to chat about it, please do let me know. Thank you so much for your time.